festivalcircuit.com and the director of the Houston Comedy Film Festival. And I'm joined today by screenwriter Andrew Ortiz. How you doing, Andrew?
Very good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great to just announce that your teleplay is going to be a finalist for the Best Teleplay Award at the Houston Comedy Film Festival Summer 2022, which we're having next month. So with Checked Out, good job, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, buddy.
I have a bad habit of crashing the synopsis and telling way too much information. So in your own words, can you please tell us what your teleplay is all about?
Sure. It's a diverse staff, diverse in every meaning of the word, at a hotel. And they're trying to keep everyone happy and maneuver through this more PC sensitive culture that we have right now. And of course, there's a little gloom and doom behind the scenes that they don't know about that the audience does.
That's awesome. So I like the story. I like the premise. I like that it's very today. It's very in the present. So good job developing the characters there. And I want to get into the development of a teleplay versus a screenplay a little bit. When you're writing for series, it's obviously a little bit different of an approach when you're writing to finish out a story and complete a story. Can you talk to me about the process of writing this and, maybe just the process of trying to plant certain things? I mean, I guess without giving away too much detail, can you kind of give us an idea of how that process is?
Sure. Well, like you said, doing a screenplay, you want to wrap things up. Doing a series, you don't want to wrap everything up. You want to wrap up the certain plot lines for the episode, but keep, if there is a through line, keep that going. So you don't wrap it up. So you're trying to wrap things up and not wrap things up, which is quite exciting. When I did this, I wrote a web series that had 8 episodes. And then someone says, "Oh, by the way, nobody produces a web series. You need to write a pilot." And I thought, I wish I had known that first. So I took the first episode and just elongated it, added some more characters, added some more plot lines and stuff, and that is the pilot. So I already know my through line and all that. So yes, there are actually a lot of things planted in the pilot that come up. That you probably would not suspect, but they're definitely in there.
There's, first of all, we've been doing these festivals so long that the word web series used to be a common thing because there was no TV outlet for episodic content. Now, especially in the past 10 years or so, we started our festivals in 2008. But now there's like this series are probably consumed at much higher rates than actual standalone films, and web series is no longer, now that we can kind of stream these things on our, they have dedicated apps like Hulu and Netflix and all that. Series is kind of taken over. I guess the consumer wants to consume characters that they're familiar with over a period of time, and they don't mind watching the same character act in something for 36 episodes or whatever. Have you kind of seen that change in the industry as well? And was this kind of intentional to write a series for you?
Yes. My friends would say, "Oh, did you see that new movie?" Or I would say to my friends, they say, it's over 2 hours. I can't do it. And I'm like, "Well, what do you watch?" They're like, "Well, I'm on season 38 of Supernatural." And I'm going, "Well, that's a bajillion hours." But yeah, I think they sometimes, I don't want to bash screenplays, but sometimes they don't want one story for 2 hours. They want 4 stories in 2 hours, just clicking on something and getting to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Series have kind of taken over. And you can see it because all the famous A-list actors who just did movies now have their own series on streaming services, which can be a little bit of a shame because screenplays and movies are, that's where you can delve very deep in a short amount of time, which can take you through more of an emotional journey in one story than a series, which takes you through an emotional journey more or less through a long stretched out period of time. So it's 2 completely different skill sets. Plenty of people can do both. I'm not saying that's impossible, but yeah, you definitely see it changing.
Well, it's definitely a mindset, when we see those in the teleplays and in the produced series episodes. I don't know if your friend gave you the right advice on a pilot only. I think that you can go into production, but the term episode was once determined on like hour length or half hour length, depending on commercial breaks. And I think what we're learning with TikTok, and here's just a story. I don't know if you've seen, if you pay attention to TikTok or Instagram or any of those reels and stories. But my daughter sat there and showed me how people basically put out 30-second and 45-second episodes of stuff. So this is the average, 12-year-old scrolls down like 3 football fields worth of TikTok every day. Um, Things are changing. How long is your is your teleplay, and what do you think in your mind when you're estimating time? How long do you think it is?
So the script, as it stands now, is 32 pages. At the read throughs, it was like 34 minutes. Since then, I've tweaked a few things, but sometimes I will just sit there and hit a timer, and in my brain go, "This is how long the shot's going to take," and I'll read all the lines and like act as though it's the actual time, which of course it won't be. But yeah, a little over 30 minutes.
Okay, all right. And so, when you're writing, do you envision for certain characters? Do you already have kind of an actor in your brain? Like, are you thinking to yourself, "This guy's, Billy Bob Thornton, and that person is, Forrest Whitaker"? Like, what are you? Do you envision someone, or do you write the characters in a way that you want? Are you thinking like somebody could cast for this and kind of fill this role? And are you trying to keep it neutral, or are you keeping it flavored?
So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll start writing, and as I get to a certain point, I go, "Oh, this sounds exactly like something so and so would act in." And then sometimes I keep that person in my head the rest of the way, um, but still staying true to the character and what I've written. I did one character where immediately went, "Oh, it would be perfect for this." And by the time I finished the episode, I'm like, "No, no, 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 this actor would be great for this." And then I kept writing his backstory, and I'm like, "No, no, 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 this actor now would be good for this." But there are a few characters where in my mind I have a face, and there's other ones that I intentionally don't let myself think that way. I say this character um, could take even more what's on the page and make it their own if they're given that opportunity. So
Mhm.
I'll let that happen. I always think of Michael Richards with Kramer. If you read his lines on the page, the one line is "Would Jerry would," but when he does it, he does the big gesture and the point and "Would Jerry would," and it
Mhm.
makes people laugh. And I definitely have characters where I want to see what people can do with it.
Interesting. Interesting. So, what's your plan? Are you one of these screenwriters that's writing so that you can take the package and give it to someone and it's out of your hands, or are you actually working on doing some production with your own team in the background?
Mm. Um, I mean, the dream would be if a production company got it and I could continue to write. That would be as far as I would go. I do have plenty of friends. I lived in LA for 13 years and met a lot of different people, and some of them are looking at it. But yeah, I just want people to see it and laugh, and me to continue writing it. That's as long as that can take place. But as far as the business side of things, just yeah, I can handle the creative side. Um, but you were mentioning TikTok earlier. I worked in a building downtown, and I did film and edit and post my own videos all under a minute, and I wanted to get good at it, so I did one. I posted one every morning, and I did it 501 days in a row. And some of them were just silly 30-second. And then eventually I would write three-part series like a film noir. But each day
Mhm.
I went to work, I could only use what shots I had and what was happening with me during the day. It was a skyscraper, so there were many floors and elevators and offices. And I would make the show or at each new episode whatever shots I could get and just think of it on the spot, go home and edit it. And if you make yourself do that, it's hit or miss. There's plenty of them where I'm like, oh, I should never show this to anyone. Um, but that helped me create characters and create situations, but also learn how to edit, learn how to, add the voiceover and the tone and the color um, and do all of that. So that's very helpful because it's easier to envision it while I write it, thinking of an effect that could be used. Obviously, I wouldn't be the director, so they can do their thing, but it helps me live in that world and see it in my head, having done that.
Interesting. So you have dabbled in a little production there.
Yeah,
That's good stuff. That's a hell of an accomplishment. 500. I mean, how many do you know any stats on your views on that?
Well, the thing was, I was again at work, and I'm never going to say where, but really shouldn't have been recording stuff in this specific place. So I was just putting them. And when I started, I didn't think much of it. I was like, I'll put these out there for my friends on Facebook. So it was like a friends only. And then eventually, someone said, "Why don't you just put them on YouTube? Just some of the good ones. They're so funny." So then I did that, and then I got fired. So it was. But I still hit 501. I mean, that's great. So So yeah, they're out there. There's some that I'm very proud of that I even show people when I'm pitching stuff. But if they ask to see anything like me.
What was your entry level into the business? How'd you get started?
Writing goes way back, but doing it on a more professional level. I was an actor in these murder mystery dinner theaters, and they were all original. And the writer director was like, "I can't write one for this one location. I can't do it. Andrew, you know the format. Why don't you just write them?" So I wrote 3 of those, and they were great. And they were actually, I was like commissioned, and they were purchased. And I'm like, "Oh, this is fun." And then later I wrote a 1-act, and we did that on the stage. And then when I went to LA, I started filming those 501, which is more content. There were stories, but it's not a script. I was winging it. So eventually it became sketches, and then the sketches I did the web series. And I started writing a lot of stuff, and then said, "Oh, I should probably read a book about this." And so then I bought all the screenwriting stuff. I talked to all my friends who had gone through USC and things like that. And I was very proud that a lot of the things I had written had followed the general structure that's already, the layout of how, it's a story's supposed to go. But yeah, it was pretty much this pilot that was the first thing that I thought, I can't do this on my own. I'm going to write it big, and I'm going to see if I can get it done through other means, through other people with the dinero.
Well, what's next for you? What are you working on? More episodes or something new?
I have, well, like I said, it was the web series, so I have a bunch of episode ideas and a lot of things already written for this particular pilot. I have another pilot that I wrote during the pandemic. A lot of free time on my hands, so I did that. I'm working on a third one, and a friend of mine out in Chicago is writing something that he wants me to join in on, and maybe even act in it as well.
All right. Well, I think a lot of us had free time during the whole pandemic. My garden never looked so good, It was tough, but it's good that you came out of that with comedy. So that's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of not comical things happening at the time. And, it's, I guess, writing and creating can be therapy for us too,
Absolutely. I needed to do something, and it needed to be fun and or funny.
Good stuff. Well, look, I really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we get out of here?
Yes. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to you, the great Mr. Fair, submitting these in tons of festivals. And because I submit the second one as well. Just placing and even winning one. I got a literary manager through that. I have a very big production company reading checked out, and it's moving up the chain, and had some back and forth emails with the owner of the production company. So that's exciting. But what got the first guy to read it is I sent them all the placements in the festivals,
Mm,
Texas Short Film, the Houston one last year for the other pilot, all of that. And they looked
yeah.
at it, and even though they're like, I don't know anything this guy's written, they saw all the placements in those festivals and read it. I know, tons of people can read it and it can maybe never go anywhere, but at least I got it in the door, and it was through placing in these festivals. So thank you to the judges, and thank you to you.
Oh man, you earned it, man. I mean, good job on this. Houston, especially, is one of the most difficult ones to get a screenplay selected to because the festival's so old and we get so many submissions. Probably Houston Comedy Film Festival probably gets more submissions than Austin and Portland combined. So, hats off to you for doing your thing once again and placing this high. I'm glad that we could be an accessory to your success. That's just awesome. And I think if they give your work a good read, I think they'll see that it's current. I think they'll see that it's well developed, and I believe that it has a lot of potential. So best of luck.
Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it. Michael.
No worries. Have a good one.